YouTube? It's Angel Kusamichi, also known as that Sin of Hope, aka hashtag Nope.
And it is, Lost Paw is actually finally joining in for one of these recording commentary things. Cactus Cayune, aka Cactus. You can catch me over on, another channel I'll probably mention or leave a little annotation at the bottom.
For request!
Because right now we're mainly focusing on League. Well, always focusing on League. Never stop.
So I'm going to be playing Headmistress Fiora, and we're going to actually make this a rather interesting match here. See, Cactus Cayune is a little bit new to League, so
I'm little bit. Dude, I've only played one game of League, and I got 2 kills, 15 deaths, and 2 assists. Okay? I'm not a little bit new. I'm a lot of new.
Well, to be fair, you were playing with Fiora.
I was playing with Fiora, which is the only reason why I got 2 kills, 2 assists.
Fair enough. Anyway, that being said, so we're going to be teaching him how to play Headmistress Fiora.
Alright, and... oh lord. Oh yay. Oh yes. Got that troll.
Yeah, we have that Teemo in game. I don't care what anyone says, there should be a sign on the Yordle behind the Yordle cage that says, "Do not feed the Yordles."
Oh man, that Teemo, it's adorable, but its adorableness will only get it so far because everybody will pretty much hate you for playing Teemo. Why is everybody at 100% but the game still has yet to start?
Well, that's because we have a Teemo here whose computer is currently being run by himself. He's in his wheel and running.
Oh, okay. I didn't see that little 83%. That lag.
It's okay.
That lag.
It's okay. Hamster's OP.
Hamster is OP.
Also, for the record, guys, we do have boobs involved in this. We have Alice the Strange.
Yep. Who is currently really far away from the mic, so unless you would like to grab one of those wooden chairs and move it up here so you can be a little bit sooner, might not carry over to the recording all too well, unfortunately.
Minimally enough, I am trying to rest myself. I kind of got injured the other day, so...
Fair enough. Okay, so it's mainly going to be Angel Kusamichi and me, or Angel Kusamichi and myself, sorry, proper grammar, carrying this commentary, which I think that can work.
Yes. Now, so, typically, since I'm playing as Fiora, I'll be explaining what I'm doing as I go along and to make it easier. Yep. Most people want to start with Warding Trinket for the sheer fact of, well, I'm playing top lane, and, well, as you can see, top lane's rather...
shadowy, mysterious.
Yes, and you usually want to make sure you can ward off the bush so the enemy jungler can't come after you.
Ward off the bush. If this was one of those immature YouTube videos, somebody would make a sexual comment, but we're classy.
Sexual comment inserted.
Bush.
That being said, also because she is an AD champion, you want to start with Doran's Blade. It gives you 3% lifesteal, 7 attack damage, and an additional 70 health, which you can't complain about that health, though.
I mean, that health. Pretty soon you'll be an unstoppable mowing machine with your ruler and scarf.
Yes, she does have the epic Scarf of Death and the Ruler of Pain. If anyone's been to Catholic school, you understand.
Or if anybody had a strict Christian or Catholic mother growing up, yeah, you'll understand too.
I'm sorry, but it has no Catholic reference. She needs to be dressed like a nun for that.
Kind of dressed like a nun. Like a sexy nun. Okay, so what are you going to be leveling up first in your little QWE down there?
Well, with Fiora, you typically want to level up the W first for the sheer fact of, if you look here, it shows that, yes, it takes 45 mana to use, but it gives her attack damage passive of plus 15, as well as it keeps going up as you level it. The reason why you always want to start Q is so, let's say in the fact that you're fighting against someone that happens to be an AD heavy champion, basically attack damage heavy. Perfect example, I'm going to be fighting against a Mordekaiser most likely, or, so in this particular case, Mordekaiser is in fact ability power, but he does have a good bit of attack damage. The major thing about fighting an AD champion is you want to make sure that you can go ahead and attack them without being able to take much damage.
Well, all that was being said, and it just went in one ear and right out the other because I got heavily distracted by something that's happening in the peripheral of my vision.
Simply put, you want to be able to out-trade people.
Okay.
Trading as in when it comes to the damage you output versus the damage they output.
Okay, that makes it a lot better and a lot easier to understand. Use small, simple words for my small, fragile brain.
Your brain's fragile?
It's mainly composed of body fat and connective tissues, so yeah, I'd assume that it's fragile.
That would explain why it's been on eBay recently. In either case...
Alright, so right now you're fighting against X Kitty Gang XX...
Yes, who
and,
is currently playing Mordekaiser. Mordekaiser is an ability power champion that actually, if he kills you after he has his ulti, he can take your soul and use it as an actual minion for himself.
Oh, that's unfortunate, and you're already down to like a third health, a little bit more than that. Looks like he can swing for some pretty massive damage.
Yes, if you let Mordekaiser actually get a little too rampant, he can do ridiculous damage rather quickly. So, while he does have attack damage, he's mostly ability power, so he's going to want to use that for spacing to keep me off his back.
Exactly. I mean, I really like what you're doing right now, standing next to tower, because at this point, looks like you're still a little bit too squishy to really go in and forge your own path.
And that's only because of the fact of at the moment I don't have a real way to deal with ability power, but see, as you go along, the builds always matter in League of Legends as to what you're doing. If your opponent has a build based off of ability power, then what you want to go is you want to try to get as much magic resist as possible while not compensating your actual attack damage.
And that would have been something really nice to tell me before you, just left me in front of the computer with just stuff. I mean, honestly, Alice the Strange was a really, really, really good teacher. Gave me some really, really decent... all this motion in the background and noise and stop that. But gave me some really good pointers, and actually, if it wasn't for her, I wouldn't have gotten the 2 kills, 2 assists.
Fair enough, and I do apologize about not being able to actually help you that much, but all in all, I'm here now, and I can show you guys how to work.
Indeed, and don't worry, your woman did a fantastic job.
I'm quite proud of her.
Hey, not bad for somebody who doesn't usually play any champions that go wacky, wacky, wacky. I usually go zap, 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 fireball, fireball,
yes,
fireball.
that's actually a really good point. There are multiple different classes that you can choose in League that I hear. There's a mage, marksman, warrior, support. What's the difference between all of them besides the obvious?
Well, the major difference is it depends on the situations, and I'm going to have to recall here because Mordekaiser actually is putting out a rather large amount of damage. But the thing about assassins are typically the champions that'll actually go for heavy kills, heavy damage really quickly. They want to be able to burst their opponent down before their opponent can actually react and or do any damage back.
But aren't assassins kind of squishy? Like, isn't that a little bit dangerous to just throw yourself in the battlefield?
Well, yes, actually that is very true. Most assassins, as in Fiora being one of them as a matter of fact, is in fact rather squishy, but because of the damage they can output, if you go with lifesteal, you can actually regain some of your health as you deal damage.
Oh, I see. So you sort of overcompensate for being squishy by being a nasty little thief that sucks out your life energy and possibly your money like every traditional woman.
Typically, yes. That being said, if you ever heard of a Capcom character called Morgan Aslan, do you understand?
Hey, I don't suck out your soul, and I may be a ginger, but still.
Okay, I could make another really inappropriate joke here, but I'm not going to because, again, this is a family channel with...
Thank you.
You're welcome.
By the way, your noodles are done.
Thank you. They're actually Angel Kismichis, but just take them off the stove, add like a little powder stuff, and stir it up and put it in a bowl so that way after he's done, he can just sort of do it.
But in either case, let's see. So moving on.
I'll pay you back somehow. Just because you're a woman doesn't mean that you should be banished into the kitchen. Right now you're doing something very nice and very pleasant for your honey boo-boo. Thank you. Thank you.
I see how it is.
Well, of course.
I see how it is.
For the female viewers that we have, we do not support gender-specific roles. We believe that everybody should be able to fend for themselves and do everything. That being said, sometimes it's just better to...
Turn down for what?
Exactly. Oh man, look, he just took all of those maces and just took them out of the ground. What attack is that?
That would be his Q, which reverberates sound against other enemies around him. Mordekaiser is very, very good at being able to burst his opponent down before they can actually get to him. Mordekaiser being a mage.
So, why are you on fire right now? Or is that even fire?
It is, because if you look carefully around his feet, there's red runes. That actually is in fact the red buff, and what red buff does is not only does it slow the enemy, but it also has a tendency to leave a burning effect for a little while, which does damage over time, usually true damage.
Now, what's the difference between true damage and false damage? Is this like damage that's posted up on YouTube by a bunch of trolls with bad grammar?
No, it's typically damage that would make people question how much life you actually have to begin with. But true damage, in all actuality, what it does is, if you take the health that I have here, my maximum health being 1,066, and then you take the damage I can output with single attacks, this being 139. Let's say I were attacking myself. Okay, that being said,
that would mean you're suicidal and emo, and we would lose all of our viewers because, well, since you're the spearhead of information, I wouldn't be able to carry this alone.
This is very true. But that being said, I can do 139 damage roughly per auto attack. Now the thing about that is, it's also reduced by armor as well as magic resist and or whatever else, depending on what I'm using at the time.
But true damage negates all that, right?
Yes, true damage cuts right through to your actual health.
And that's why that spell, I think it's F for you, has such a long recharge time, because it can be a little broken if you know exactly how to use it.
Exactly. This would be actually Ignite, because it deals 170 true damage to a target over 5 seconds. It's a total of 170 true damage. The thing about it is it'll take the time to actually slowly burn them down until they're actually dead, which a lot of things don't actually go off like that. Now that being said, it's not a guaranteed kill. It does actually stop after it does its maximum damage.
Now, I would like to say something real quick, just a little bit of a side note, still pertaining to League, but away from this match. Like I said, I played my first match of League with Fiora, and it was a ranked match, and unfortunately Angel's team lost. However, to anybody who says that League is really simple, it's really not. There's a bunch of different aspects that you have to keep your mind on, and like sort of like mouse 2 is what does your attack instead of mouse 1, so if you're not used to that, it sort of confuses you a bit. It's really a complicated game.
The major thing about League is, a lot of people go, oh, well, League of Legends is easy. League of Legends is one of those games that, just people go on to play. That's not necessarily the case. Now, don't get me wrong. I respect games like Smite because they actually are very hard to play. League, on the other hand, is, well, it's being sponsored by EA Sports, so...
Well, at the same time, it has more exposure than Smite. What's the big difference between the two, by the way?
The major difference between League and Smite, in all honesty, is the view in and of itself, because League is a overhead, I can see everything that's going on around me thing, whereas Smite's an over-the-shoulder, almost third-person party game. The major, in my personal opinion, the major difference between League and Smite was the fact of how things were actually built and the concept behind the actual game. All in all, League has its ways of moving around, but I'm not sure if you guys can actually see this, but I'm using my mouse to currently click around, whereas Smite uses the ASWD system to actually walk around and move.
Oh, okay, so this one is more of a strategy, plan your actions out, and Smite is more of a less focus on the strategy and more focus on the action type game. Not saying that it doesn't take a lot of strategy to play Smite, but it just takes a little bit more to play League.
Exactly, because the major thing between Smite and League is, in all actuality, where Smite does take time to actually take strategy. It's a little easier for your team to actually come together and come together and combo with you versus having to go, oh my god, I might possibly die on my own.
Good dodge, by the way. Good dodge.
Thank you.
Might I also mention something that's also a severe difference between League and Smite?
Sweetie, you don't have to ask. It's a recording. If you have valuable information, just feel free to put it out.
I just didn't want to interrupt.
Well, when people normally close the vocal hole, that is their mouth, that typically means they're done talking.
Okay!
Now,
League offers a lot more variety with the different roles.
Okay.
For example, with League compared to Smite, for something similar to League, in, say, the Joust, only offers one straight lane. While as for League, you have 3.
Well, Smite also has the 3-lane type system as well. It does have a very blatant ripoff of League. Not saying that's a bad thing, just saying that League was the trendsetter with that.
Well, the interesting thing about Smite and League, from what I've noticed, is that I do actively play both. Smite and League actually have very similar maps. As a matter of fact, if you guys check out any of the previous videos I have, the Joust is a single lane, has a single lane, everybody's there, fight to death thing. Whereas Smite, however...
Real quick, I'm sorry to interrupt, but right now you are doing massive damage, and you just completely melted Kitty Gang. What exactly did you do, and why'd you do it?
Okay, well, what I did was I went in with my W because it does in fact block an auto attack, and in case he decided to actually try to auto attack me, it would stop that and deal damage back to him instead.
Also, I just realized that we accidentally and rudely interrupted Alice. Alice, do you think that you could finish your thought?
Okay, well, also, the different classes are interesting. Yes, the classes are combined in there, but it's just, how do I put this? For an example, bot lane with ADC and support. The fact that the support and ADC have such a co-in-sync relationship, I just feel that that relationship between the ADC and support is not even found in Smite.
Now, you said a lot of different letters there that I'm actually going to ask Angel what they mean. What is ADC? What is all those things?
Okay, ADC is, I'll take a quick peek down here. You see the blue-haired girl walking around, Jinx?
Yes.
She is considered an ADC because ADC means attack damage carry. They're an attack damage based champion that are usually marksmen that start off with very, very high burst ability. The only thing about ADCs is they have a tendency to be very squishy at early levels.
AKA glass cannon.
So fighting one-on-one is a bad idea unless you actually know how to outplay your opponent well enough.
So, aka what you're doing right now.
Basically.
Okay.
In all actuality, Mordekaiser should be able to easily kill me.
Well, yeah, and as you can see, he is doing massive damage despite you rushing in and poking him. He is pretty easily knocking you down. I mean, even minions are taking a noticeable chunk away from you.
Yeah, because that's the major thing about League that a lot of people tend not to realize. Minions can actually kill you. That's one of the most hilarious parts I find about League. Minions can easily kill you. If you're surrounded by a bunch of them, you're likely to die. So the best thing to do is try to clear out as many minions as possible, and then go after your enemy.
Right. Now, what you're doing right now is really ballsy, I'm going to have to admit. Oh, sorry about that, but
You're fine.
It is really sort of aggressive what you just did. And you nearly died. In fact, you're not quite safe. Well, now you're safe, but that took you down to 53 health. That was risky.
Well, the major thing about Fiora is output, output, output. You have to be able to drop as much damage as fast as possible while knowing you're going to be safe in the end. See, the item I've actually started to build here is this thing called the Tiamat, which whenever I attack something, it gives me splash damage. Splash damage meaning I hit one target and it splashes out through the ground.
Of course.
That being said, it also builds into an item called Ravenous Hydra, which gives me 75 attack damage, 15 health regen every 5 seconds, and 12% lifesteal.
And does it still have the same effect that I had before, the splash damage and all that?
Yes, it does, but but Tiamat also comes with a second ability, which is an active, called Crescent, yes. When I press the number 1 here to activate Crescent, what it does is the closer an enemy champion is to me, the more damage it'll deal. It can deal anywhere up to 60 to 100% of my actual attack damage to them as a single strike.
Oh,
like that.
Wow, that's impressive. And as well, your items have a cooldown time just like your abilities.
Yes, they do. And I just caught somebody in my jungler's jungle trying to actually steal things, so let's go ahead and kill him right quick.
Now, do you think you can catch it? Oh, that was a foolish mistake, XLO.
He's dead.
Yep. Oh, that assist,
Ooh, the
though.
jungler even got the kill.
Yep, and our jungler actually got the kill for that, which is a good thing, because the jungler himself needed that kill because the enemy team actually stole the buff. If you look around this Yorick's legs here, there's a little blue rune signs. Mm-hmm. That's actually a blue buff, which the blue buff offers cooldown reduction as well as a bit of movement speed at times.
Now, okay, just to get away from buffs right quick, I noticed that you left your lane, you left your top lane, and right now there are swarms of minions battling it out at each other. Why did you leave your lane?
Well, the major reason I left my lane was for the sheer fact of enemies are occasionally going to roam every now and again, and when I say roam, I mean as in they'll walk to other lanes to try to kill off people, which will allow them to push that lane a little further.
Okay, so you decided to take the risk and venture out into mid in order to be able to help the jungler to push a little bit more aggressively.
Exactly, because I can offer the damage that I currently have to level the playing field as well.
Okay.
Basically, what's happening now, it is now officially the end of laning phase. Laning phase is where everybody's in their own individual lanes, pretty much staying put in their lane.
Okay.
When laning phase is ended, that's when most champions start to roam.
So there are multiple phases of the game. There's laning phase, which I assume is like the second phase. The second phase, because the starting phase is, you know, starting your build, stuff like that. All the before you get into combat, chopping that you have to do. I guess that's like the opening phase. Second phase would be laning. Third phase would be base rush, or would that be more like fourth phase?
That'd be basically end phase. If you want to actually chop it up like that, an easier explanation would be first phase would actually, like you said, be shopping phase, where you start off at the base and you go figure out what you're going to need and you figure out how you're going to actually output what you're wanting at the time.
Okay.
The second phase after that would in fact be laning phase, because you're actually trying to make sure you can actually get to your enemy's tower here before they take yours, which will signify who's going to get the likely gold. Unfortunately, my tower was taken, but I wasn't killed in the process, and a major thing about League is it's better to give up your tower than give up your life.
Exactly, because if you feed your enemy players, they're going to level up quicker. The higher they level up, the more dangerous they're going to be.
And the more gold they can get.
Exactly, in order to be able to level up their builds even more, making them even more dangerous.
Now granted, yes, they do get gold from taking down towers, but that's a whole team split gold versus one person focused.
Now, I noticed that you're mainly focusing on your E at this point and not your W, your lunge attack. Why is that?
Well, the reason why I'm focusing on my E is because it's called Burst of Speed. Whenever I hit something, I gain 105 additional attack speed for 3 seconds, and also it goes off of based on my Q, which is my lunge, which that's currently the Q, which allows me to close distances rather quickly. My ulti allows me to be untargetable for a moment, whereas I can out-trade my opponent easily. And all I have to do is just make sure that he can't hit me back. Also, afterwards, if I kill any enemy champions with my E, it also resets itself, allowing me to continue doing more damage a lot faster than he could output.
Now, there was this little blue hovering icon that was above your head. What exactly is that?
That would have been Mordekaiser's ult, unfortunately. What that does is called Children of the Grave.
Oh, right. You explained this earlier in the video, where they essentially get a minion of you in order to be able to fight for a little while, right?
Yes, and the worst part about that is that minion of you quite literally is you.
Oh, so it has your build and your everything.
It has my build, it has my abilities, and it has my actual attack damage.
That's devastating, especially if you unleash it on an enemy champion that knows exactly what they're doing, knows their build.
Exactly. If you work well enough with your champion, Mordekaiser can be a very dangerous threat.
So it looks like right now you pretty much got the top lane cleared. I mean, not trying to call it out or too early or anything like that, but you're doing more damage to the tower that's closer to the enemy base than the enemy is to your base. What exactly does that mean for mid, and what does that mean for bot? Does that mean that they'll typically try to rush mid and bot in order to be able to compensate for the damage that you did at top, or does that mean essentially good game, you touch their base first, you're going to win?
Well, what this effectively means is since I lost my tower first, but I still cleared out my lane, I got enough gold to actually build what I need.
Okay.
The problem is, unfortunately, that it gives the enemy team one of two decisions. Either they can rush mid lane because it's being the shortest lane in the game, it's easier to crash down mid lane and get to the enemy, get to the base, which it seems they're attempting to do. Or they can go after me and try to get the shutdown gold, because if you shut down someone who's been actually killing quite enough, you can actively walk away with almost 500-600 gold for that single kill.
Oh, right, because there's bounties to heads for people who get like unstoppable or pentakills or stuff
godlike.
Like that. Or godlike, yes, thank you.
Exactly. The more kills you get, the more kills you get, the more wanted you'll be, because if you get killed afterwards, and Teemo being a troll still.
Good assist.
If you get killed afterwards, then you can offer up a rather large amount of gold to your enemy instead of just giving them maybe 200 or 300 gold per kill.
Indeed. Well, that's impressive. Not gonna lie. All right, so yeah, 3 team members. Looks like your Teemo, which was bot, and your big blue halberd wielding MFer that was your jungle, all up in your
That is
top.
Yorick.
That would be
Thank you.
Yorick the Gravedigger. He actually has a shovel for a weapon.
Which is amazing. Absolutely fantastic.
If you guys like, I could explain Yorick's moves.
Yeah, you know what? You've been a little bit quiet recently. Why don't you explain? I'm actually going to be right back, but in step again, it's going to be House of Strange.
Yay.
Unfortunately, I would have actually gotten what is known as a quadra kill. If you kill more than one enemy, then you actually get anywhere. It goes kill, double kill, triple kill, quadra kill, and pentakill for your final.
Just to reiterate, Alice was actually going to explain what the Gravedigger's moves were and how potentially they could be effective.
For Yorick, one of the good things about his moves, it can actually grant him a lot of vision. Because he can actually send his little... I'd like to call them like little ghosts.
Oh, essentially that's what they are.
One is Pestilence. One is Plague, I believe. But his ult is the most important one. That makes him the most dangerous, to say the least. Yorick's Mark of Death.
Stand up. You are sitting in the co-commentator chair.
I'm sorry. I have a hurt foot. I'm trying to stay off it as much as possible.
And I'm lazy and inconsiderate.
So it's been 23 minutes into the game, and I've officially gotten my first death. It took 4 enemy champions to actively kill me, and they all popped their ultis.
It's too bad
Good job.
that Yorick wasn't around to ult you.
Why's that?
Yorick's ult actually, he can target either himself or another champion. When they die, they immediately come back to life for 30 seconds and cannot be killed that way.
Oh, wow.
You're basically unstoppable for 30 seconds. Say, for an example,
No.
What?
Over-explaining things can sort of
Fry a human brain.
fry the human brain. Can also interrupt commentating, which we're mainly focused.
Okay.
I know. I'm just saying. Mainly focused on
I'm
Fiora
gonna
at
go
this
back
point.
in the kitchen.
No, you don't have to go back in the kitchen. You have
I'm
wonderful.
going
You have
back in the
wonderful.
kitchen.
Okay, fine. Go. I'm not going to argue with you. Leave us. Back to the game.
She is not. No, I'm kidding.
Back,
We're not gonna go there.
back to the game at hand, though. Okay, so what phase would you say that it's in now? Would you say that's still in the laning phase or like a base rush?
Well, at this point, it'd be about At this point, it'd be about 3/4 through the game. So yes, it would in fact be going to base rush, because the major thing is since we've already gotten most of the enemy towers taken apart, we want to make sure we can actually kill the enemy team before they can do much of anything to us.
Okay, so right now you're essentially gaining gold and killing the enemy team in order to be able to get more gold, so that you can build your buffs and level up, so that way you can, essentially just melt their face.
Exactly. And the major thing about Fiora is she has one of the highest attack damages in the game. Perfect example, if they actually come after me, I'll show you what I mean. I can out-trade most people for little to nothing, to be honest.
And not to mention, because now that you have the 12% lifesteal, I think it is,
Yep.
you're not going to be dying easily.
And then Yorick just ulted me, which allowed me to come back to life for a moment, and I can kill them off.
Ooh.
Aww.
That was still really impressive, getting that triple kill.
And that's actually quite worth the actual death, because although, yes, they got the gold for shutting me down, 3 kills, or 4 kills in this case, for my team, versus 1 death is actually quite worth, because if you think about it, let's say you get 200 gold per person that you kill. Okay.
So you just got 800 gold, while they got 432 gold. You doubled the amount of gold that your team is getting versus what that one person got for ending your streak.
Exactly.
Okay.
So all in all, it comes down. League of Legends actually does come down to math, much like Smite does, in my personal opinion. Because the thing about Smite and League is you have to be able to calculate DPS, which is damage per second.
Well, of any gamer knows what DPS means, but actually, I do want to get back to something real quick, if you don't mind backtracking a little
Oh, sure,
bit.
not a problem at all.
You explained what your first build was, your 1, but you've since been working on a number of different builds. Why did you choose them?
Oh, this number 1 here is
wait, no, it's not even relevant anymore because your team just won and you just completely destroyed the other team. GG.
the enemy team surrenders, and that is the end of the game. This has been
Right.
Andrew Kusumi.